And I'm your chemistry teacher for this semester. If you're taking chemistry, and you are taking chemistry through Colorado Digital Learning Solutions, otherwise you wouldn't be on this site. What I have on my screen here is a look at the chemistry course before it's opened up. This is my material. You will probably only see this chemistry semester 2 version 6.0. When you open it up, you'll see the entire course laid out. Right now you see I don't have units 2 and 3 open. There are 3 units in this course, and we'll spend about equal time on all of them. But pacing's already been laid out there, due dates in the calendar, which I'll show you where it's at on my apps anyway. And I suggest you revisit the calendar often. But if you, within each unit, I'll also have this. It's really a blog is what it's called, but I'll have the Unit 1 due dates, and you can see for each lesson the due dates are in there. You start with a discussion due January 12th. Unit 1 post-test is due on February 12th. So if you want to see it all, or download that and put it in and save it on your desktop so you can look at it often, that's a way to see due dates. But another way to see due dates is if you go over here to the left side. Show you that again on mine. It's in this drop-down menu. You should see a calendar function. If you click on that, you'll see mine's a mess because I have several courses, but it'll take you to the calendar function. So 2 ways to check your due dates. Students sometimes report they have trouble seeing the due dates, so just wanted to make sure and point that out. Now, just a couple of things. Most of you are returning from second semester, so you kind of get the gist of how this works. If you're new, then there'll be some helpful hints in here. Let's open up a lesson, and I'll show you one of the things that I think is most useful about the lessons. Takes a minute to get into them. Sometimes if your internet's slow, it'll take literally a minute or sometimes more, sometimes longer to get into one of the lessons. But you'll see a tutorial. Yours looks different, but I'm going to show you what a tutorial looks like. Tutorial is just a set of slides that you work through. At some point, it'll ask you questions, and you'll have a chance to respond. They can get kind of monotonous and boring. A couple of hints, a couple of tips to help you navigate these. First one is what I think is really advisable. If you go over to this folder, you'll see a section, a link called Guided Notes. If you download those and add them to your desktop, you can actually fill these in, and it takes you through every slide. It helps you outline and identify the important information. I think those are extremely helpful. And then, of course, you can save them and use them for the mastery test at the end of each lesson, and also for the test, the unit test at the end of each unit, which the units are fairly long, over a month, so a lot of time elapses between the time you do these lessons and the time you take the final mastery test, or the unit test. So I recommend doing this and keeping track of those notes. This is a look at a mastery test that at the end of each lesson, you'll be given a mastery test, and it looks like this without the answers filled in. So like that. It gives you 5 to 10 questions for each lesson. If you get an 80% or higher, it lets you move on, or it won't prompt you to go back. If you get below an 80%, it'll still let you move on, but that's not advisable. This is a mastery-based system. So what that means is you can redo these as many times as you want to. So you can go through the mastery test. If you don't do well, you can take it again. Here's a caveat though. If you don't do well on the mastery test, you have to return to the tutorial and go back through the tutorial before it'll open up the mastery test again. I get that question a lot, so hopefully this clears that up. Go back through the tutorial. You don't have to spend a ton of time on the tutorial. If you think you have it, you can click through the tutorial really quickly. You don't have to engage with every single slide, so it doesn't have to take a long time. The reason it directs you back to the tutorial is because if you didn't do well on the mastery test, then an assumption could be made that you need to review some of the things in the tutorial. So, and that's probably likely, so you may want to go through the tutorial a little bit more slowly than I am here, and review some of these slides. And if you get to something that was a particular sticking point for you, maybe you want to answer any slides that require answers, you want to answer them again just to refresh your memory. But if you get to something that was difficult, reread it, re-answer the questions, and then go back and take the mastery test again. You have plenty of time with these lessons to do this. So repeat, repeat, repeat until you get it right. Until you do as well on the mastery test as you want to. And then, so literally there are 3, 4, sometimes even 5 days that you have to work on these lessons, so you have a lot of time. Now here's the second tip. You could see these tutorials. This one has 43 slides. That is a ton of material. And if you don't love chemistry now, I would be right there with you. I was never one that loved chemistry. So if you don't love chemistry, you're certainly not going to hurt my feelings. But if you don't love chemistry, if you're just not crazy interested in this stuff, then you can only handle about 20 minutes worth of information before you kind of need to take a break. Get up, walk around a little bit, go get something to drink, maybe work on another subject for a while and come back to it and dive into it for another 20 minutes. So if you really struggle with this material and you don't like it, you don't find it incredibly interesting, you might try doing this in 20-minute chunks. This works because if you hit this save and exit button, it'll remember where you're at and it'll take you back, or you can at least scroll to that quickly, and anything that you've answered will still be in there. You won't have to redo any of that. So this is a good way to work through them. I think I'd strongly recommend trying that. Now, if you really are interested in chemistry, you love it, then you can probably handle the full 43 slides and stay engaged. I don't know many people that could go that long without needing to get up and take a break. I guess I'm trying to give you permission not to feel bad about that. In fact, not feel bad about it, to view it as a good method of approach to completing these tutorials is go in 20-minute chunks. Go walk around, go for a quick walk. If you exercise, go exercise and come back to it. Actually, exercise can really stimulate brain function. So if you go and exercise for an hour really hard, it'll fatigue you. But, if you do a little 15-minute routine or something and come back, it'll actually stimulate brain activity. Any kind of activity, exercise will. So getting up and moving around, coming back is a really good idea. Strongly recommend that. So 2 things again. Guided notes, use them. Even if you think you've got it, use them. I'm sure many of you are good enough students, you take your own notes. This just helps you. This is going to give you another boost because it's going to prepare you for the questions they're going to ask on the unit test and on the mastery test. And number 2, if you don't just love this stuff, try it in 20-minute chunks and see if that works better for you. See if you do well. And again, one more time, this is mastery-based material, so you can repeat it as many times as you want to. You can keep going until you get 100%, and that's what I recommend you do, because then you're going to be more prepared for the end of unit test as it comes up. I'm always available through email, through the Genius system. Email me, I check it often, so I should be able to get back to you quickly if you get stuck, or if you have any trouble with the issues with these lessons. But other than that, they're pretty self-explanatory. You move about them at your own pace, so should go pretty well for you. Good luck.